The federal government is charting a new course with its decision to build a fleet of nuclear-powered submarines.
Our city has had nuclear-free status and we want to keep that way.
But the shortlisting of Port Kembla, south of Sydney, as a base for the new boats has left some residents apprehensive and angry.
If nuclear submarines are based here in Port Kembla, we're looking at nuclear accident risks for us, for our sea life, for the ecosystem that we all depend upon.
The word nuclear creates fear. However, we know that these the potential issues around nuclear can be managed really effectively, like it is, for example, in Lucas Heights.
The United Kingdom, the United States.
Along with the base proposal, the historic AUKUS deal to deliver 8 nuclear-powered submarines remains a work in progress during its initial 18-month consultation phase. That means voters won't see a construction timeline or firm costings before the federal election. But the consequences of cancelling the French submarine contract are becoming clear.
So taxpayers would be up for $5.5 billion on submarines that don't exist.
The final negotiated settlement will be within that price.
The fundamental question there is, we would have ended up building a submarine that events had overtaken, and I took the hard decision.
We see $5.5 billion in the submarine contract with nothing to show for it. Now, the question is, what should they have done? Well, clearly they should have made the right decisions earlier so that we wouldn't see so much money wasted by the Morrison government.
Building the Collins-class submarine fleet in Adelaide during the 1990s was a huge achievement, but plans for their replacement have been a long and drawn-out political saga, which started in 2009 under Labor.
It is as plain as day that there is a significant military and naval build-up across the Asia-Pacific region. That's a reality. It's a truth. It's there.
In 2016, the coalition chose the French to build 12 diesel-electric submarines in Adelaide.
These submarines will be the most sophisticated naval vessels being built in the world.
Now the Prime Minister says Australia will get US or UK-designed nuclear submarines within the next 2 decades.
And I suspect it'll be well before 2040.
As to where they'll be built, the Prime Minister had this to say back in September.
We intend to build these submarines in Adelaide, Australia, in close cooperation with the United Kingdom and the United States.
At a press conference earlier this month, 7:30 asked him about the commitment.
In regards to the AUKUS submarine build, can you guarantee, other than the nuclear reactor, that it will be built in Australia?
We're working through all of those issues at present. And that is certainly our intention, to maximise all of that. Of course it is. But it's also the paramount goal is to ensure we get that capability as soon as we can, and it's in the best form that it can be, working with our partners.
It's very obvious now that the Prime Minister is softening the ground ahead of him. Every day it looks more and more likely that this submarine will be built overseas. The government keeps squeezing on the schedule, and that means that they have to reduce risk wherever they possibly can.
Independent Senator and former submariner Rex Patrick is sceptical of promises to build the new nuclear fleet in Adelaide.
The Australian Strategic Policy Institute has predicted that this project will cost about $170 billion. An overseas build is the exporting of $170 billion of taxpayers' money and thousands of Australian jobs to foreign shipyards.
The day after his press conference, the Prime Minister called in to Adelaide Commercial Radio to reassure voters about local construction.
There's no change to our policy here. We will build submarines in South Australia, and we'll build as much of them in SA as we possibly can. And any suggestion that's being made to the contrary is just frankly false and misleading.
Under the French submarine deal, there was a public pledge to spend 60% of the contract value in Australia. During a visit to Adelaide shipyards today, the Defence Minister said he couldn't guarantee the level of local content for the nuclear submarines before the government decided whether to go with a US or UK designed boat.
I hope that it'll be higher than 60%. We'll have that announcement.
But can you guarantee it won't be below 60%?
We haven't yet chosen which boat we're going with, and I think, and it will be. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised.
Local suppliers are banking on a local submarine build. Adelaide company KTIG is keen to invest in a high-tech welding facility to get a slice of the action, but only if there's certainty from government.
If we found out that the subs were going to be built here, then what we would look to do we have an industry, we have a technology capability, and we have a willingness to invest. The numbers would be in the vicinity of 20 to 40 jobs that could be created out of a commitment such as that.
Ahead of the election, Labor isn't giving any guarantees on local construction should it win government.
We will do everything we possibly can to make sure that those assets are built in Australia.
Can you rule out an overseas build if you win government?
There are some things we can't build here today, so we need to plan forward to ensure that we can build those assets in the future.
I think the public now wants to see submarines in the water and as soon as possible.
Defence researcher Clive Williams says considering the complexity of a nuclear submarine, it'll be cheaper for Australian taxpayers if the boats are constructed in the US or UK.
I think building at Osborne in South Australia is fraught with danger and could well be another defence procurement disaster.
He expects the smaller UK Astute-class nuclear submarine to be a better fit for Australia's Navy, and says the new boats can't come quickly enough amid tensions in the Indo-Pacific region.
The last 2 Astute submarines are being built at the moment in the UK, so clearly it would be a good idea if we're going to have a follow-on order to get that in as soon as possible so that the production line remains in place.
For the safety and security of our citizens, for our economic development and for the greater ideal.
Back in Wollongong, the council reaffirmed the area's symbolic nuclear-free status.
Yes. Against? No. Show of hands. Those in favour, please raise your hand.
While the government grapples with delivering one of the biggest and most vital defence projects in the nation's history, advocates say Port Kembla shouldn't reject a future as a crucial defence base.
If we had 4 submarines, we believe that we would get 7,000 jobs, and the majority of those would be high-value jobs, high-paying jobs.
But opponents say they'll continue their fight to keep nuclear-powered submarines out.
Port Kembla has a long-standing commitment to a peaceful world. Local maritime workers refused to load pig iron for Japan in 1938 when Japan was engaged in aggressive military action in China, and I'd like to see that legacy continue into the future.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.